In this video, I'm going to break down everything that I learned over the past 2 years as I raised my credit score from about 560 to a perfect 850 all across. I'm going to share the basics as well as a few secrets that I learned along the way that can also help you take your score to the next level. And I promise you, this video is going to save you thousands of dollars if you actually watch it, follow it, and do it. For me, I used to see credit as either something that no one cared about or it's either, credit repair, where you pull your credit, realize it's all messed up, you fix it in a rush, and then you move on and you forget about it. I never saw it as something where you are intentional and strategic with your credit as part of your overall personal finance. Everything I saw on YouTube about credit was either credit repair or about credit cards. There isn't really anything about credit optimization, credit management, which might be a little geeky, but there is so much about credit that is not known, and there isn't really anywhere that you can just go and learn about credit. So I wanted to create this channel, make it a place where people can come just looking to understand credit better, and how to optimize it, and how to make it part of the overall approach to personal finance. And no, I'm not going to be selling $9 magic, credit repair letters or $4,000, credit repair Lambo packages, $1,000 scammy courses or anything like that. I'm going to show you everything that I learned, hoping that it can help you get to where you want to go. Hi everyone, I'm Charlie. I'm a contributor on FICO forums, creditboard.com, Reddit, and Credit Info Center. And on this channel, we talk about credit management, personal finance, and a bit about the behavioral economics and cognitive biases on why we spend money. But in this video, we're going to talk about how to get that perfect 850. First thing we're going to do is to completely forget about CreditKarma. CreditKarma scores uses Vantage Score, which is the score that nobody uses. Imagine scores are like apps, and Vantage Scores is like Facebook. Everyone has it, but nobody uses it. So lenders actually use FICO scores, not Vantage scores. FICO and Vantage scores, they both provide you with a credit score. But when you apply for loans or cars or credit cards, they're actually looking at your FICO scores. So that's the one we should really care about, which you can get through someone like Experian.com. This is my Experian app. As you can see, it's an actual screenshot of the phone, screen recording. If you go into Experian, you can see Experian is at an 850 with 4 positive factors and 0 negative. That means there's nothing that is negatively impacting my credit score. And you can see here Equifax the same way, and TransUnion also, all 3 are at 850. When you look at here, actually I can show you my alerts, because this is the alert that I received when the credit actually went to 850 when I paid off some accounts. So you can see it here when it went down, and then when it was down it actually went up. So as you can see, it's an actual app and not a screenshot, just in case anybody says anything. Now, if you click on this video, it's because you already know the basics about credit. But just in case, I'm going to give you just a very quick and brief introduction. Credit can be in the form of, revolving credit, which is essentially an open-ended loan, such as a credit card or a credit line, where you use the funds, but as soon as you pay it, you can then reuse it again. Hence the term revolving, meaning the limit revolves and is reusable as soon as the balance is paid out. As opposed to other types of credit, such as closed-ended credit or installment loans, which you borrow at a specific rate, which is fixed or adjustable, and you make equal monthly payments or monthly installments. And once the balance is paid, the credit terms are no longer extended, the loan is considered closed, and then your normal loans like car loans, student loans, personal loans, and even mortgages. I guess, yeah, mortgages definitely considered an installment loan. Once you have borrowed funds and you pay them back, your credit history starts building up. The more you pay back on time, generally, the better your credit will be. There are 5 factors that are considered and are mixed into a credit algorithm, which calculates your FICO score or your credit score. And I'm sure you probably heard about these factors. Payment history, amount of debt, length of credit, credit mix, and inquiries or, seeking new credit. When you hear bad credit or good credit, is essentially referring to your credit worthiness, usually in the form of a credit score, where all these categories are calculated into an algorithm and they come up with a 3-digit number between 300 and 850. And the higher the number, the better, with 850 considered a perfect credit. Everyone starts with a 300, and this score gets affected by 5 main categories. So let's go over them in detail and I'll show you. And I promise you, it might be a bit long, but if you watch until the end, it'll be worth it. The first one is your ability to pay your credit back on time, which is your payment history. And you heard this, and you've probably seen this chart before. Payment history makes up to 35% of your credit score, so make your payments on time, right? So that's the general advice that is given. But there is so much more that goes into this payment history. So let's go over the 5 different factors that affect your payment history and they're essential in achieving an 800 score. So the first factor under the payment history category is late payments. So number 1, make your payments on time. This is obviously essential. But if you didn't at some point, you'll then are going to have a late payment. Never be late. It's just that a late payment is really, really bad because it stays in your credit for 7 full years. Also, if you are late, always call and try to get the fee waived. If it's your first time, it can happen. If you forgot to do it, you were traveling, you changed bank accounts, you thought it was an auto pay, or whatever it might be, just call them and let them know, they might waive the late fee for you. If you were legitimately late, it's tough to get it removed from your credit, but I have what's called a goodwill letter that you can send to request for it to be removed from your credit. It rarely works, but I think, it's worth a try if you can try to get it deleted from your credit. I have the link below for the letter. You can just download it there. I always recommend everyone to have autopay set up. Sometimes we forget, and sometimes credit card companies can actually mess things up for you. If your account is already 30 days late and you feel that you're not going to be able to continue paying the account, you can call the creditor and you can ask for their hardship programs. So these are programs that they have to work with consumers that, they're going through any financial hardships. They could help lower your interest, freeze your balance, extend your payments, go into a payment plan, or some other different things, before things escalate and the account goes late or goes into collection. The next factor is how late. How late your payment will have a major impact on your credit. A 30 days late is considered a minor delinquency. A 60-day late is considered a major delinquency, which is nearly the same impact as having a collection or a charge-off on your credit. So never, ever, ever let a late payment get to 60 days. You can actually get an 800 FICO score with a 30 days late, but not with a 60 days late. It will not be possible. If you have a late payment that is not reporting accurately, you can actually dispute it with the credit bureaus. And you can let them know that the information is not correct. Always dispute by certifying mail with a return receipt as evidence. Credit bureaus hate paper trail. So if it gets to the point that it escalates to a lawsuit, having that paper trail is super helpful. I have a template below that you can download and you can use to dispute these inaccuracies. If the credit bureaus don't help, you can contact the credit card companies directly by mail and you can dispute it with them. And if it doesn't help, you can then escalate it to what's called the executive offices. This is the executive team, the overlords of the credit card companies. You can Google it. Let's say it's American Express. Google American Express executive offices. Or find the email address of the CEO and send them an email, explaining what happened. Tell them everything, but never admit to actually being late. That never helps. All right. The third factor under payment history is the number of delinquencies, meaning how many late payments, how many collections, how many charge-offs. They're all going to have an impact on your score, and this is the most important factor. You want to have 0 delinquencies. The FICO algorithm is going to look for how many 30s, how many 60s, how many 90s, how many collections, how many charge-ups, and it's going to assign your scores based on that. So ideally, you want to have none, 0. If you didn't know, collections are accounts that were never paid and they have defaulted, and after 180 days, they're sent to an outside firm or an internal department to be collected, but your account gets closed, it hits your credit, and it's pretty devastating. They can also result, from unpaid medical bills, utility bills, and things like that. If you have a collection and you're dealing with it, paying it is not going to result in a score increase. A lot of people pay it thinking that it's going to fix their credit. That is a very big misconception. The credit algorithm is not looking for paid or unpaid collection. It's looking for number of collection. It doesn't care if it's paid or not. So what you want to do is completely get rid of it. Dispute the collection and make sure it's actually yours. And if it is, then you can negotiate what's called a pay for the late with the collector. This is where they receive a payment, and in exchange, they agree to remove the collection from your credit. Do everything in writing, and once it's removed, there's no records on it on your credit, so it's like it never existed. I have a pay for the lead letter in the link below. Check it out. You always want to get this pay for the leads in writing and never pay from your bank account. You can do a cashier check, or you can mail them like a money order or something like that. Never directly from your bank account, because it will literally wipe it out. I have a video on this coming soon, so if you're really interested, make sure that you subscribe. If you want to see how this is done, make sure you let me know on the comments below, and I can make that video for you guys, no problem. The last two factors on the payment history are time elapsed and number of accounts in good standing. So a late payment a late payment that just happened is going to have an impact of about 100 points. And as the late payment ages, it's going to start recovering. Recovering will happen about every 6-month interval. There should be a score improvement every 6 months or so. At month 6, the impact will be about 85 points. At month 12, maybe 70 to 80 points. And at month 18, it will be less than maybe around 60 points. And then after 3 to 4 years, it will be 25 points fixed until it is removed after 7 years. The second category is outstanding debt. So this is worth about 30% of your total score. Essentially, your credit gets affected if it gets too much debt, but it also gets affected if you have no debt. You've heard everyone always saying, keep your balances under 30%. Use 30% of your credit cards, no more than that. While this is generally okay advice, it's leaving a lot of points on the table. If you want to actually maximize your credit score, there are 3 factors that affect this category. Factor number 1 is utilization, then number of accounts with balances, and loan balances. Utilization is the ratio between your balance and the credit limit. If your credit card balance is $1,500 and the credit limit is $5,000, then utilization is 30%. Having a 30% utilization is good, but it's leaving around 25 to 50 points on the table. So what you want to do is, to get a perfect credit score, is you want to have a utilization under 8.9%. Yep. Not 10%, because a 10 is going to push you to the next range, and not 9, because if it goes above 9, let's say 9.1 or 9.2, it tends to round it up to 10. So just under 9 is the perfect utilization for the highest score. You also want to make sure to pay off your credit cards in full before the due date. Because if you pay it on the due date, then your balance has already been reported to the credit. So a quick myth is that you have to have a balance reporting so that they don't close your credit card. That's really not true. If all your credit card balances all report at 0, then you also lose points, about 10 to 20 points. Because in the eyes of the credit gods, they go like, hey, this person doesn't really know how to use credit apparently. So what you want to do is let just $5 or $10 report to just one credit card. This is called the all 0 except 1 method. Try it, and I promise you it's going to get you a quick 15 to 25 points. Now we move into the third category, which is length of credit. This is supposed to be about 15% of your credit score, but I found this to have such a good impact on your score. While it is incredibly important to establish credit as early as possible, the credit gods are not counting, how old your oldest account is. What they mean by length is they want to know how old the average age of your accounts is. So for this category, you're not looking at how old your credit is. You're looking at what's the average age of all your credit accounts. So by average, I mean that if you open an account 5 years ago, then your average age is 5 years if you only have one account. But if you open one account today, another one, then your average years is going to be 5 divided by 2, which is 2.5 years. You just loans, both the average age of all your loans as well as how old the oldest loan is also counts. That's why you see people with mortgages usually have better scores. And it's not because you need to have a mortgage to have a higher score. That's because mortgages are usually 15 to 30 years long. So it affects their credit in a positive way by having such an old loan reporting. For people with new credit, you want to be above 3 years for average age of credit cards. That's the sweet spot for new credit. For maximum scoring, you want the average age of your credit cards to be above 7 years, 90 months to be exact. You also want 24 months to have passed since the last time that you opened your last credit card. That's why I recommend opening credit cards every 24 months. But, that's another video. Now, if you close a credit card, the history is going to stay there for 10 years. And it's still going to count on your aging. So open or close accounts is still count. If your aging is not good and you don't want to open a new credit card, one thing that you can do is to be added as an authorized user on someone's credit cards. Let's say your parents, spouse, or a good friend. And this is a common practice. So this is when someone adds you as their user on their credit card, and then their credit history on that credit card gets reported to your credit. Length of credit history is not really based on when the account was listed on your credit. It is based on when the account was actually opened. If you get added as an authorized user to an account that was opened, let's say 2005, then that original open date is going to carry over your credit. And now, once it's listed on your credit as an authorized user, it's going to have a massive impact in your score. I have 2 authorized user accounts on my credit dating back to 1999. And that's probably, huge factors on why I have an 850. Just make sure there aren't any late payments or a high balance on our authorized user account, since all the history will come and report to your credit now. And if something were to happen and this person gets a late payment or their maxes out their card, you can just remove yourself as an authorized user and the account would essentially disappear from your credit. So it's very low risk. And now we move into credit mix. This is about what types of credit you have or your credit mix. For some weird reason, they like it when you have every single possible debt out there, meaning a mix of revolving accounts, credit cards, store cards, and also some type of loan reporting, whether it's an auto loan, mortgage, student loan, or a personal loan. Again, forget about CreditKarma. What we care about is FICO. And FICO optimizes at just 4 credit cards and 1 loan. As long as you have 4 revolving accounts, aka credit cards, retail cards, and you have at least 1 loan reporting, let's say a personal loan, student loan, a auto loan, or mortgage, then you're going to be in the optimum range. Now, where things gets crazy again is that for you to develop credit, you have to show that you're responsible with credit. And nothing shows that you're more responsible with credit than paying off your cards or your loans. But if you pay off your loans, your score will actually decrease. And if you pay off your cards in full, as we discussed earlier, your score will also decrease. So I will never advocate to keep debt for the sake of credit. Once you're ready to pay off your loans, just know that you're going to see a 15 to 20 point loss. Once you pay it, don't go crazy about it. It's going to happen. Move on, and you're much better with being debt-free. And now we move into seeking credit. This is fairly simple. How frequently you're seeking credit, which is essentially the number of inquiries that you have. Every time your credit is pulled for new credit cards or loans, it counts as a hard inquiry. Your credit is going to drop for about 12 months. After the first 12 months, the inquiry is still going to appear on your credit, but it no longer is going to affect your actual credit score. Also, there's a penalty for new accounts. So if you get a new account, you'll get a penalty for a trailing 12 months period when you get a new account. What that means is if you get a new account today, then you'll get a 10 to 20 point penalty for the next 12 months until you're no longer on this new account bucket. But if 6 months later you get another account, now you have resetted the clock and you're gonna have another penalty for another 12 months. I always recommend opening 2 to 3 accounts all at the same time so that they age together and it doesn't affect your average age, and the inquiries and the new penalty, they're all gonna stop affecting you after 12 months. If you watched the full video and you didn't fall asleep, thank you so much. This is my first video. I am extremely nervous, but I hope you found the information super useful. Make sure you like this video. It's gonna help me tremendously. And post any questions in the comments and I'll get to them. I'll see you back here every week. I'll see you soon. Love you. Bye-bye.